Hi, I'm Rayan. I'm one of the founders at ORENDA. In this video, I wanted to clarify and discuss everything about the grinder. Now, our grinder is unique. There's a patent on it for a reason, and I want to explain what's so special about it and how it could possibly go wrong and how we can make sure that never happens. So, first things first, it's a burr grinder, flat burrs, stainless steel, hardened. Two things are very unique about the grinder. Number one is the consistency. So in order to have very consistent grind size, you need to be able to remove the really small particles that are like powder that over extract. So when you grind regularly and you look at it visually, you will notice that some of the grinds are normal size, a little bit are a bit too big, and a bunch are like powder. I'll show you visually as a picture. This grinder has an actual mechanism that captures as much as possible of the small ones and blocks them from being used so that it doesn't over extract and taste really bitter. Now, another thing the grinder has that's extremely unique is the ability to clear itself most of the time of extra coffee. So in every grinder there's always a little bit of leftover coffee every time you grind, and it goes stale and bad. But with ours, there's an actual mechanism to clear the system, and I'll show you in a second. So there's 3 levels of cleaning your grinder. So the first kind of cleaning is automatic every time there's a cycle. If you listen carefully, you would hear the loud grinding first, and then soft vibration after for 10 seconds or so. I'll show you. From the coffee grounds. The second level of cleaning requires initiation from you, and it should be done every 5 cups or so every couple of days or once a week. It's very easy to do. The first time will be a bit awkward, but once you do it, it will be very easy to repeat it. It only takes a couple minutes. So we have this weird looking piece. You probably have figured out that it fits neatly under the grinder bit. So when you clean your machine, there's several types of cleaning cycles. One is fluid only, one is fluid and coffee grounds, and finally later one is for descaling. So now I will demonstrate the fluid with coffee grounds cleaning. So the kind of cleaning we recommend doing once a week. What you want to start with is the brewing chamber in place. Enough water, so just check the mark. Then what you need to do is go underneath here, and you will see a small rubber piece. Let me demonstrate by pulling the camera closer. So you see that rubber piece right there? That one is removable with your finger or nail or anything like a spoon or something. So we simply just I'll use my nails, peel it out. It's just a rubber piece. Don't throw it out, don't lose it. And you take this plastic piece, and this is a bit tricky the first time. You want to push it in like an insertion, and always depend on the metal. So hold the metal and push it in. Okay, it clicked, it's in, alright. So now we put a cup underneath because it's a complete cleaning cycle, right? I have a cup. Brewing chamber is in place. The new piece is in place. The cup is in place, and the seal is out. then what we do is we hold the cleaning button. When you hold the cleaning button, there's a first vibration, which is for fluid cleaning, and there's a second vibration, which means it's a complete cleaning cycle. So you want to keep holding the cleaning button until you feel 2 vibrations. So we go like this. That's 1. That's 2. And then we let go. And you can hear the vibration, but it's not really grinding. What it's doing is it's clearing the system. I'll wait for it to finish. Basic things to look out for is the water clear enough? That means it's clean, it's good. And then once you remove the plastic piece, you want to see if there's coffee fines or not. If there is, that's a good sign. So to remove it, it's a bit tricky, but you need 2 fingers and you push the metal away like that, and it's out. And just to demonstrate, I will show you the powder being made, the fines being filtered. So notice how fine this is. It's like Turkish coffee kind of fine, like sand. And if all of this went into the brewing chamber, it would have easily over extracted and tasted bitter. Every grinder that's available in the market does not do this. It does not filter really fine stuff. This makes a huge difference in consistency for pour over and French press. Now in espresso it's a different story. They actually like the fines, but for regular coffee the fines are really bad. So that's why we clear them out, and we try to make it as automated and easy as possible for you. So for the fine coffee, you do not need to throw it out. You can still use it for cold brew, because in cold brew it's extremely difficult to over extract, and you can use it for your plants if you have any. The next bit is about clogging. So a lot of people are afraid of clogging, and especially in bean to cup machines, because they're notorious for having those problems. And so, as I said, what we did in this design is try to make the cleaning bit as automated and easy as possible. You could still clog it, and the only way that we know of to clog the grinder on purpose is to use oily super dark beans. And I recommend watching the video about how to select your coffee. But if you use oily beans, you will have to clean it up a lot more, and there's a very big chance of it clogging. Now if you use the proper beans, like light roast, medium roast, and full city roast, you should be able to grind hundreds of kilograms without any clogging. And the machines never went out without testing. We tested a ridiculous amount of coffee with many different models and with designs that are even worse than this, and it doesn't clog. So what if you did use oily beans, or there was a flaw in your machine that somehow passed testing and it did get clogged after all, and the regular cleaning cycle didn't help? Then what we'll have to do is open up some parts and clean it from inside. We generally don't recommend this step. You should try the first 2, and then if it didn't work, we should try this one. You need to remove all the beans from the top as much as you can. You won't be able to remove the ones inside, but remove the ones at the top. Then you need to clear the water by running a cleaning cycle. So once it cleared the water and you cleared the beans, what you want to do is go ahead and unplug the machine. You don't want to play with it while it's running. So after you unplug it, remove anything that you could, such as the funnel, the glass pipe, the brewing chamber, and the drip tray. This will just make it significantly easier for you when you clean up. And of course the hopper lid as well. So everything removable, you get rid of it, so the cleanup can be easier. So the next step would be you find the right tool from your toolbox to open up two screws right here. I'll show you up close how they look like. So you have, this is the first one, right there. And then the second one is right there. Just two of them. Two screws, we just, it's stuck because there's a seal. Just lightly peel it off. Peel it off and then it comes out. Do not lose your screws, there's two of them. Keep them. What you will see here is the refining part that I was talking about previously, where you have a metal filter and then it gets rid of the really small particles, and there's a mechanism to make it shake so it cleans it as much as possible. Now if your grinder is clogged, this would have been full of coffee and it would have fell everywhere, which is normal when you clean up. But once you reach this point, there's two approaches and you should try both. You can try the brush that is provided with the machine and just sweep in and get in there, and you'll see already coffee is falling down. Do as much as you can. And then let's say that wasn't good enough. The next step would be getting a compressed air canister or a vacuum and sticking it right where the grinder hole is. You can look underneath the seat and going as deep as you can and then running the air. You can try from the bottom and then you can try from the top, and that should clear it out. It'll create a big mess, but if it got clogged then you have no choice. So if you don't have compressed air, you can actually use a straw as well, but yeah, I won't demonstrate that because mine is not clogged. So once you're done, you simply reinstall it. There's only two screws, and then I recommend running the typical cleaning cycle once to clear everything out, and that's about it. So even disassembling to reach the grinder takes something like 2 minutes or so, and it doesn't require any kind of knowledge or skills. The only bit that's annoying is probably finding the right tool, if you have it or not. We hope this resolves any big problems you're having with the grinder. We really put in a huge amount of effort on it to make it not just a good grinder, but the best possible one in a bean to cup machine. And it really is, when it comes to quality and consistency, for pour over and French press kind of grinds, because you remove all these Turkish coffee size, and every single grinder that exists, even the ones that cost thousands, always produce fines. So they don't have a real solution for it, and we did implement it in this machine. We hope it helps so you can enjoy the best coffee possible. There is one last point about the grinder that some people had, which is some of the coffee flies out, and there's two possibilities. The first one is, if you see big particles of coffee flying out, then you're either using the wrong roast or there's a fault with your machine. If you see really small particles flying out, then it's actually normal, unfortunately. So we try to minimize as much as possible the effect of static electricity on the coffee, but it's really impossible to get rid of it completely. And so the really small particles that are charged, when they fly out, the charge makes them fly in very strange ways. They don't just go down. So some of them will actually fly out on the table or the machine. So it's not that much, but we will figure out a solution for it, and hopefully it will be modular so we can just send it off. If not, it will be in the next model. We're really sorry about that. And again, if a lot of coffee is coming out, that's not okay. You should contact us one-on-one. We'll resolve it.